Hey everybody, my name is Sabrina from thestockstunes.com, and today I want to talk about Nanodimension Stock, ticker symbol NNDM, and how it is down more than 60% in about 6 months. So now let's get started. So here we are on Google, and here's a 6-month view of Nanodimension stock charts here, and as we can see, in about 6 months we are down over 60%. So firstly, before we get into why I think the stock dropped more than 60% in 6 months, I think it's best to talk about what Nanodimension actually does, just so that we're all on the same page here. Nanodimension is a company whose products really focus on the power that 3D printing has to offer. So macro picture here, I think that this is definitely a bull case for the company. A university actually had the opportunity to design and create 3D printed objects. I designed and printed some 3D printed prosthetic fingers. So let me tell you that 3D printing is and will be an area for growth in the future. 3D printing does have a lot of uses, and I think that a lot of businesses will eventually realize its power and begin investing in the field. But talking about Nanodimension specifically here, the product that Nanodimension has that is really interesting to me is the DragonFly LDM, which is a 3D printer for circuit boards. I'm not going to go into the science of this because this is not a science channel. We're here to talk about investing, and I'm sure we can all agree that the world will be more digitalized in the future. So circuit boards are definitely needed. And by being able to 3D print circuit boards, this allows scientists and engineers the flexibility to print the exact circuit boards that they need, which will be extremely useful for science and business. So because of this, my main point here is that I think Nanodimension certainly has good products that are in the prime areas for growth in the future. So that was the bullish macro picture for Nanodimension and what Nanodimension actually does. But looking back into Google here again, the question is, why is the stock down more than 60% in 6 months? Even though some analysts here, if we scroll down to the news, are showing some bullish sentiment. So there's an inconsistency here between the sentiment on the street and the price action up here. So the question is, what is causing that? And if we can look into this Investor Place article, the inconsistency may be because of the outlook that Nanodimension CEO Yao Stern had said, suggesting that the company's second quarter revenues will be minimal and that the company needs time over a year or so until sales of their systems improve. The last thing I want to mention in this part of the video is that if we zoom out here to a year-to-date view, we can see that we have surges of momentum followed by quick drops of the stock price. Surges of momentum followed by quick drops of the stock price. So of course, the answer to why we're seeing this is likely because of the retail investor interest in the name. Likely because a lot of new investors are trusting Cathie Wood and her ARK Invest and following her investment decisions. Again, this is not part of the company's fundamentals, but this is part of the market psychology. Because of this, even though this may be bullish for the stock, this surge in retail investor interest, this introduction of these new investors add extreme volatility to the stock. So if you're a long investor holder, you should be expecting volatility. This is not a good thing, this is not a bad thing, it is what it is. And it's something that investors should be considering before investing in Nanodimension. You have to consider that a lot of investors in Nanodimension are looking for quick money. And if a boost in momentum comes and pushes up the stock price, the stock may come back down just as fast as it went up. So after talking about the macro picture of Nanodimension, now let's head on over to the earnings report to talk about how Nanodimension is doing as a business. So here we are in Nanodimension's most recent earnings report, the one for the first quarter ending on March 31st, 2021. And it's important to note that the second quarter report is set to be released on 18th of August. A few days after this video will be released, so there may be an update to this video. The first thing that we should always look at is top line revenues here, which is this line on an earnings report, and we can see that year over year, with this being the most recent year, we are growing top line revenues here year over year by about $100 million, or about 14%. However, what I'm even more impressed at is the shrinking of costs that they are showing while still being able to increase the revenues. We can see here that we are gaining revenues on the top line, but if we look at the total cost of revenues here, which is this on here, this total cost of revenues is actually decreasing year over year, even though our revenues are increasing year over year. So because we're increasing the amount of money that's coming in from the revenues here and decreasing the cost of that revenues, we should see a growing gross profit. And that's exactly what we see. We see that year over year, we are increasing gross profit by over 100% year over year. So this is surprisingly good, actually. This is showing that efficiencies appear to be improving in Nanodimension's business. Now, unfortunately, the story of Nanodimension does not stop there, because now we have to talk about the operating expenses, which is this block on the earnings report down here. And if we can just take a look at the total operating loss right here, we see that year over year, our operating costs are exploding more than 300% year over year in loss of operations. And that is definitely not what I want to see if I was an investor in Nanodimension. We can see here when we look at what's going into this operating loss, this research and development spending, sales and marketing, and general administrative. These are the three blocks that are going into this operating loss, and we can see that all three of these areas are increasing in spending year over year. Now, as I've said countless times on this channel, this increase in spending of research and development year over year is actually okay with me. This is telling me that Nanodimension is investing in the technology to find better products. And I think that this is what technology companies should be doing, because I think investing in research offers a greater potential return on investment for every dollar you put in here. However, I am not okay with increasing sales and marketing and general administrative spending year over year. Yes, spending money on marketing and spending money on administrative expenses is important to keep the business going. But to me, the return on investment is not as high as it could be if this money was diverted into research. What general and administrative spending is, this is like the back office stuff. This is money to pay the lawyers, the money to pay the accountants, or money to pay for the business trips to Disney World where you can eat Mickey Mouse ice cream. And, again, to me, even though Mickey Mouse ice cream is pretty good, the positive impact to the business, I think, is quite minimal. So I think that investors should consider the explosion of operating expenses greatly before investing into a stock like Nanodimension. For me, I would want to see at least a stabilization of this operating loss here. The last thing I want to mention about Nanodimension's fundamentals is the balance sheet, which I pulled up in this tab over here. And what I want to focus on is this cash and cash equivalents. We can see here that year over year, with this being the most recent year, 2021, we are coming from about a $4 million cash stockpile to over $1 billion in cash stockpile. And this is actually a really good thing, because it means that the company is now well capitalized and has a lot of money to play with. But the question is, where did this money come from? And I'm sure you all know the answer by now, but it's coming from secondary stock offerings. They are making new shares out of thin air and selling those shares to investors when the stock prices were very high during the retail investor momentum pushes. That is where the money is coming from, and this is probably something investors should keep in mind. If the share prices zoom higher, Nanodimension will probably be at the ready to dilute shareholders by offering more shares. As always, because share dilution is bad for investors, that is something that investors should also consider greatly before investing into a stock like Nanodimension. So after talking about the fundamentals of Nanodimension, now let's take a look at Nanodimension stock charts to see if there's a level or two to buy Nanodimension if we want to buy Nanodimension. So here we are in Nanodimension's trading charts, and we can see that we were in a pretty nasty downtrend ever since our highs back in February here. We can see that we were making lower highs and lower lows until we hit this support level around $5.75. And if we take a look at where we are today, we are right back at this $5.75 level. I think that this level right now could be a good entry point into the stock if an investor wanted to get into Nanodimension. But if we can pull back the curtain here a little bit by zooming out on the stock chart, we can actually see that this is a long-term support level around this $5.75 level. However, if we break this $5.75 level, we could fall back down to this support level here around the 450s, and maybe even this support level down here around the $3 level. So even though right now we are at a good medium-term support level, to me there is still plenty of downside risks here. A drop to this $450 level is around 30% lower from where we are right now, and if we go all the way back down to $3 down here, that is about a 50%-ish downside. However, of course, this is a high momentum name. There is still potential upside from where we can see over here up at this resistance level around $9, which is again about a 50% upside from here. So to me, the stock is a bit too risky for me at the moment. Even though the stock is nearing oversold territories, if we look at the RSI chart down here, we can see that the MACD chart, if we can zoom back in here, we can see that the blue line is just about touching the orange line here. It's crossing over the orange line. What that means is that the short-term momentum, or the blue line, has just plummeted weaker than what we're normally seeing in the orange line or the long-term momentum. And this is normally a bearish sign. For me, if I wanted to open up a position in Nanodimension, I would again slowly, very slowly, build a position beginning around where we are right now, around the mid $5. And if the support level does break, then I would be buying slowly, just a few percent of what I want my overall position to be at a time. In fact, because I think that if there is a heavy downside risk for the stock, I would actually be looking into option strategies to minimize my downside risk if I wanted any position at all in Nanodimension. But as always, option strategies and Nanodimension in general is a pretty risky stock. Another thing that investors could wait for before opening up a position is an oversold sign from this RSI down here. If it crosses below 30, then that could be another signal to potentially look at Nanodimension. So that was my review on Nanodimension stock. Let me know what you thought about it in the comment section down below. If you have any questions or if you got any mistakes, also drop me a comment down below. If you liked the video, please like the video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching and I hope you have a great day.